Hi, I'm Natalie Mullen, former people pleaser and queen of doing way too much, turned holistic life coach and wellness educator for purpose seeking women of color and allies. Welcome to From a Full Cup. On this podcast, I teach you how to use the 12 pillars of wellness to discover your purpose, uplevel your well being, and create the life of your dreams because we all deserve to be fulfilled, and you simply can't pour from an empty cup. Through candid conversations, insightful interviews, and motivational nuggets, you'll feel inspired, empowered, and supported as together we navigate this thing called life, holistically and with your well being at the center. If you're committed to personal development and you're ready for more, you're in the right place. Now let's get started. Hey, y'all. This is my third episode. Oh my goodness. It feels so weird to say that because I have not recorded a formal Thursday episode since my 47th episode. So that was the beginning of October, and now it's the end of November. And it's probably not that long. I mean, it's just shy of 2 months, but I really miss this. I love doing these episodes, even though it's a lot of work, it's a lot of research, it's a lot of time putting it together. I love it. Today was supposed to be my last episode, and I'm like, no, I'm going to do one more. So next week will be my last episode to close out the season. And, I just want to talk today about winding down the year. We're heading into December, and a lot of people are already talking about their plans for 2024, what their new goals are, and all of that. And that's fine. And even for myself, I've already started thinking about things I'm going to be changing and goals I have specifically around this podcast. But before we get into the new year, I think it's really important to say, how do we wind down and close out a season? How do we close out this year? Do we take time to reflect? Do we take time to process? How do we make space? And how do you just sit still? Like a lot of times it's New Year's excitement, and it's like, you start at the gym January 1st and you start with your new diet and you make all of these changes. But right now we're thinking about stillness. But before we get into that, I want us to do a wellness check. And this is a time just to check in with yourself and see how you're doing. So just for a moment, pause and reflect. Rate yourself from 1 to 10. How is your joy? How is your peace? How do you feel today? Last week's episode was an interview about how you can start a podcast for wellness healing journey, or even just a side hustle or a passion project, and how to balance that when you still have a full-time commitment in that of a 9-to-5 job. But today, as I said, we're talking about closing out the new year. So a lot's kind of been going on for me these last couple months, and things have settled now, thankfully. But about 2 months ago, things really peaked and escalated. And I'm sure I'll share more in my next season. But, for a portion of time, my dad wasn't well, and that was really impacting my family. And then separately from that, my career had taken a downturn, and it was really making me miserable. And that was impacting my well-being. And my time was also impacted by just a shift in responsibilities. And so I felt like a lot was happening, but everything is settled now, and I'm really at a place of peace and just contentment. And one of the reasons why is because I prioritized my wellness. So when I realized that things were happening to impact my wellness, I reacted pretty quickly. And I'm proud of myself for that, because I think a few years ago, maybe 5 years ago, I would have pushed past and I would have endured way more than I needed to make everybody else in the situation happy and put their needs before mine. But no, I've changed, I've evolved, and I really do realize that if I'm well, everybody else benefits. But most importantly, I benefit. So my well-being is not on the back burner, it's on the front. So anyways, I made some changes, one of which was a career change, which I'm so happy about. And I will have a whole episode about that in the next season to talk about that. And I do want to just say, I encourage you, if you feel like there are things that you need to do in your life to increase your wellness, to increase your fulfillment, to increase your joy, to increase your peace, and to bring you into a space where you can thrive, then do it. You are deserving of it. And ignore anybody who tells you to be cautious or tries to discourage you from pursuing something that is going to lead to you being in a more optimal state. You deserve to have a full cup. You deserve to have a thriving life, and you deserve to be fulfilled. Period. So you've got to know what's in alignment for you. You've got to know what you want, how you want to feel, where is it you want to go in life, and then just go chase that. Think about your purpose. Think about your impact, and think about fulfillment. What does that look like for you? And then go chase it. So anyways, we're talking about closing out the year. Why is this necessary? Well, it's normal for us to reflect on what's happened in the past, but sometimes we're reflecting on things and we get stuck. Like we just think like, oh man, everything didn't go the way it was supposed to this year. Or, oh man, I'm looking at the past and I don't know how it's going to connect to the future. Like this is what happened this year, but I'm uncertain about next year. Or, oh man, I didn't meet this goal and this just didn't quite go the way I was going to, and I feel unfulfilled. I feel like I've wasted potential. I've wasted time. I'm not fulfilling my purpose. The impact of all of those thoughts can be really profound because we can carry the weight of these unresolved issues. It's almost like you have a backpack of rocks and you're just carrying it around. And think about it, when people are talking about the new year, so when they're talking about 2024, for a lot of people, they're hoping that it's going to be a better year. Even if you have a good year, I don't know what happens at the end of the year. People just look forward to a reset. And I really think that's why God made years, right? Like it's just, I think he knew that we just need a collective opportunity to start over, to turn the page and start a new chapter. And so, thinking about, a lot of people feel stressed at this time of year. And we're heading to the holidays now. I love the holiday season and it always brings me a lot of joy, but for a lot of people it doesn't. And I'm going to talk about that next week. I'm going to talk about how do you close out a really crappy year or a really difficult year or whatever the adjectives are. I haven't written the episode yet. So back to this episode. A lot of people can carry physical and emotional stress, especially towards the end of the year. And so I want us to think about how we can lift that burden and how we can just embrace the end of the year as an opportunity to pause, reflect, and then reset. And once we reset, that allows us to move forward. Now, when we think about the limiting beliefs that often hold us back, especially when we're thinking about towards the end of a year, the first one is, I can't change. People often think, I can't change. Life is destined to be this way. Woe is me. Another year of the same kind of thing. And I really want you to ask yourself, have you seen yourself change in the past? Like, have you ever at any point ended up going a different direction, a different path? Because if you have, that is evidence to show you if you changed once, you can change again. If you have created something in your life once, you can create something again. You get to be a co-creator in the process of life. Another limiting belief is it's too late for me. And so a lot of times people feel like the ship has sailed. Maybe they wanted to travel. Maybe they wanted to write a book. Maybe they wanted to go to school or go back to school for something. Maybe they wanted to change careers. Maybe they wanted a different path. Maybe they wanted to start a business. And a lot of people feel like, oh, I didn't do it and now it's too late. And I don't know why. There is no limit on chasing your dreams other than the grave. So if you are not in the grave, It doesn't matter your age. It doesn't matter your ability. It doesn't matter your level of intelligence. It doesn't matter your resources. It doesn't matter your time. You have the potential and the possibility and the opportunity to make changes in your life and to pursue the passions, interests, goals that you want and that you have in your heart. And the last limiting belief that I would say is that this is a big one, is that a lot of people feel like they don't know the next step. This state of indecision, of not making a decision to move forward, is one of the most dangerous places you can be. It's called complacency. It's a state of complacency. It's like the desert. It's dry. It's dead. Nothing is growing. It's just sandy. I don't know if anybody has been to see the Sahara Desert. Okay, I got to go to Egypt a couple of years ago and see the Sahara Desert. And as beautiful as it is, let me tell you, it is sand, 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 and more sand. It's not a thriving place. You don't see plants and things growing. And when you think about your life, think of your life as almost like a garden. You want to be thriving and blossoming and blooming, right? And so you want to think about how can you embody that? And so in order to move out of complacency, there is only one thing that moves you out of complacency. And it's not thought, it's action. A lot of people think, okay, well, I'm going to try to do this and maybe I might want to do this. No, stop thinking and start doing. Just take a solid action, preferably an action that is coupled with accountability, and let's get going. That is what is going to move you forward. You do not need to know the next step. All you need to do is start moving. Your intuition will guide you in the right way. And guess what? Even if you go the wrong way, you just make a U-turn. So I want you to think about that. I want you to ask yourself, have you had any of those thoughts before? And if you have, it's totally okay. Give yourself grace, but just keep moving forward. And here are some questions I want you to ask yourself. The first one is, how can I reframe past challenges from this year as an opportunity for growth next year? The second is, what values are truly important to me? And this year, did I live in alignment with those values? That's a really powerful question. And the third one is, what patterns do I recognize and the third one is, what habits or patterns do I embody that I need to release in order to move forward in 2024 in a way that's in alignment for me? Because the thing is, those habits are what keeps us from moving forward. We just keep doing the same thing over. So even if we have goals for ourselves and even if we want better, if we don't change our habits, then we don't change. So of course, we'd like to talk about action. So let's talk about some practical strategies. What are practical ways that we can close out this year and reset for a new beginning? So one thing that you can do is acknowledge and celebrate your wins. Even if it's small, I still want you to write down some things that went well this year. Whether you learned something new, you had a new opportunity, you grew and evolved in some way, you experienced extreme joy and happiness, you were able to establish boundaries, you were able to say no, whatever it is, whatever the wins are, maybe you saved money, maybe you started a business, whatever it is, I want you to write down those wins and I want you to celebrate yourself, because as a people, we're just naturally hard on ourselves, and myself included. Someone will compliment me about something I've done and I'm like, my response is always, thank you. I know I could have done XYZ better. And they're giving me a compliment about something I'm doing. But it's just so easy to nitpick at yourself and critique yourself. And I'm not even saying to completely undo that, because for me, that's a part of who I am. And it's, I think it helps me improve. But I am trying to be more conscious of when someone gives me a compliment, to accept it. And then for me to also sit with that compliment and just experience mindfulness and be present with the compliment and be present with that action, instead of immediately trying to default to finding a loophole or finding an area where I could seek improvement and where I can critique myself. Okay, the second strategy is to create a timeline of this year. And so I want you to think about, like, if someone said to you, describe your 2023 year to me. And maybe you had to list out 10 events. And I want you to actually do this. I want you to get a piece of paper and do this. And I want you to write out, what are the 10 most memorable events or experiences or moments that stand out to you. And just write them in order of them happening. Or if you don't remember the order, write out the events, moments, and experiences first, and then go back and put them into order. And I want you to really pay attention to why they stand out. Is it based on a feeling? Is it based on a level of success? Is it based on who you were around? Just ask yourself, like, are there any patterns that emerge? And that information is for you. And it can really help you see what have you focused on this year and what was enjoyable, meaningful, and fulfilling for you. The third thing you can do when you're thinking about closing out the year and how we move forward is thinking about a situation, only one, where something didn't go as planned. Okay, so a situation that was kind of one of those life gives you lemons, or maybe it was a curveball, or maybe it was straight down in a pit. It was horrible. Whatever it was, I want you to think about just one of those situations. And I want you to think about one lesson that you've learned from that experience that now is shaping your life in a positive way moving forward. Because I think a lot of times things can happen to us in our lives and we're like, oh my gosh, why did this happen? But there is always a lesson. There is always some kind of benefit to us moving forward. And so it's really important to acknowledge that so that we can grow from that experience. And the last strategy I'm going to share with you is to write a letter. I want you to write a goodbye letter, a goodbye to 2023. Because we don't want to take the negative parts of 2023 into 2024. So you're just closing out this chapter. And just be thankful for the good, the bad, the ugly, all that's happened. Just put it in the letter. Write it to yourself. Sign it. And when you close that letter, promise yourself that you're leaving the past in the past and you're going to move it forward. So it's a really good activity to do on New Year's Eve, like December 31st, except that a lot of people end up getting really busy on New Year's Eve and they might forget to do it. So I'll leave that up to you. You have the whole month of December. But at some point in December, write a letter to the year. Be thankful for everything that happened, even the challenging moments, because at the end of the day, you're still here. And so your life is something worth being thankful for. And you're not done. So I hope those strategies help you in thinking about practical ways that you can kind of close out this year and just really reflect and position yourself for rest and pause so that in the new year you can really start fresh. And so for today's call to action, all I want you to do is choose one of those strategies. And I really want you to embody stillness. I really want for you to try to find a moment to rest. I know the holiday season is usually so busy and it's go, go, go. But maybe there's time before the holiday season. Just depends on your life. I want you to try to find time to rest, to be still, and to really reflect on this year and close it out. Just give it a good old goodbye. And as you embark on this journey of closure and renewal, just always remember to fill your cup. And you are filling your cup because you deserve a full cup. And keep in mind that everybody around you benefits from the overflow. So when your cup is full, give of that overflow. Give that joy. Give that strength. Give that grace. Give that kindness. Give that compassion. Give that love. Surround yourself with positive influences and truly think of how you can be present in the moments, even in the whirlwind that is the holiday season. I invite you to say today's affirmation with me. The past has happened. I accept it. I am grateful for the present and will embrace it moment by moment. In closing, remember that every ending is a new beginning. So just focus on giving it a good farewell. The new year is coming. New opportunities are coming. But don't miss out on the opportunity to be thankful for the opportunities that already came. Purpose is within you. One step at a time. Take action and live it out. If you found this episode valuable, I would love if you would share it with someone who needs a little inspiration for their year-end pause, for their year-end wind down. And if something in this episode resonated, we do this kind of deep healing and transformative work inside the Wellness Reset program. So if you want to learn more, book a free discovery call. The link is in the show notes. And we'll discuss your current challenges that are impacting your wellness, your mindset, and your purpose. And we'll create a plan to move you towards your goals. Happiness, joy, peace, impact, purpose, fulfillment. It's all there for you. Just got to make the choice. You deserve to thrive. This podcast is brought to you by Captivate. This podcast is brought to you by Captivate Podcasting Platform. You can start a free trial by clicking the link in the show notes. And until next time, continue to serve yourself, your loved ones, and your community from a full cup.